Please listen to part 2 of the Lee Legacy Family video.
You have another family member that has been an impact on our community's history. Can you talk about your aunt, Miss Yvonne Lee Odom?
My aunt was the first student to integrate Seacrest High, which is now since been renamed Atlantic High School. So what integration, I don't know if you guys know what integration is. When she was growing up and a high school student, there were separate schools. Whites went to one school and blacks went to another. And so in 1930, the Brown versus Board of Education said that separate but equal is not the right thing. So all schools had to be integrated. It was still, that happened out in Midwest. So working down to the South, it took a long time for them to get here, for that to get here. So my grandfather decided that my aunt would be the first one to do that. So she said she came home from school one day and her dad told her, "You're going to Seacrest." And that there was no discussion. She said it was difficult at first, but then she made friends. She was an athlete, so she participated in basketball and track at Seacrest. And she eventually went on to graduate from Seacrest High School, and she became a teacher in Palm Beach County. And until she retired after 37 years of teaching, she taught at Carver Middle School.
And let's watch news stories done by Channel 5 News back in 2019.
It's been nearly 60 years since schools in Palm Beach County were desegregated. South County reporter Miranda Christian spoke to one woman who became the first African-American student to attend what was once an all-white high school in Delray Beach.
The school looks different now, and it has a different name, but the history remains. In September of 1961, a picture was snapped of a 15-year-old student leaving Seacrest High School in Delray Beach. She was the first African-American student to attend the high school.
As a 15-year-old, I was simply just going to school.
Yvonne Lee Odom says her 15-year-old self didn't quite realize the historical impact of her first day at Seacrest High.
One thing I did have in my mind that I said to myself, if I'm going to integrate, I'm going to integrate. So I went to everything the school had.
Just last week, the city of Boynton Beach honored Odom for what she did 58 years ago. Odom spent 45 years as a teacher in Delray Beach. She instilled her experience into her teaching.
And when kids are given circumstances that they have no control, they have to do that self-talk to, say, okay, I can do this.
She also says she never wanted to disappoint her father and teaches children the same thing.
Find somebody you don't want to disappoint. It could be your grandma, it could be your auntie, it could be a teacher. But when you live your life that you don't want to disappoint somebody, then you'll do the right thing.
In Delray Beach, I'm Miranda Christian, WPTV News Channel 5.
In the video, she mentioned how she respected her father. Can you elaborate on that?
So what she explained in that video was how she respected her father and that she did not want to disappoint her father. And so that was something that she taught her kids as an educator, that find that person that you don't want to disappoint, whether it's your parent, your mother, your father, or a teacher, or someone else significant in your life that you don't want to disappoint. Because when you do things that you don't want to disappoint someone, that means you're going to always do the right thing. And then you'll live your life that you'll do the things that are right, and because you know that will make them proud and not disappoint them. So I think that's what, her main point that she wanted to stress from in that interview about her love for her father, her respect for her father, but that she didn't want to disappoint him. And then that's something that in her 45 years of teaching, she always taught her kids, to find that one person that you don't want to disappoint, because then you'll always be doing the right thing and living your life a good way.
Can you please tell us about your mother, Ravia S. Lee, and her role as principal in Royal Palm School?
So as you can tell, my grandfather, my aunt, and now you see my mother, I come from a family of educators. And my mom was the principal at Royal Palm School. It's a school for special need kids, and it goes from pre-K to age 22. And she was a principal for over 20 years at this school. And she really enjoyed working with that population of kids. She saw them as, little people. And then, we normally, regular kids normally graduate at high school from age 18. Where her kids, once they reach age 18, they stay on so that they learn life skills so they can go out and work and be able to support themselves. So they learn how to, they go to jobs. Sometimes you've probably seen people working at Publix and Home Depot and Winn-Dixie and places like that. Her school trains students, once they get past the age of 18, on how to be able to function in society. But it's a great school. She was there. They built a new facility. So just like here at Congress, if you don't know the history of Congress, there was an older building that was here first, which is the building that I attended. But then this building that we're in now is a new building that was built on the same property. So that's what happened at her school. She built a new school on the same property as the old school.
What type of awards did your mom receive?
During her tenure as a principal, she won a lot of awards. She won Principal of the Year for the Counselors Association, some of these special, they have what they call special education groups that she won awards from them, and she was also named was a candidate for Principal of the Year for the state of Florida.
I don't think anything on the video. Miss Lee, is that video while your mom was still staying?
No, that's just a new building. The new building that I'm talking about. It's not a video of where she is now.
Okay.
That's a promotional video, but it tells about the school. But
you want her to play it? Or what do you
it tells about the school. So, you can play it, but it tells about the school.
Yeah, let's go for it.
It's long, so I would not.
The Royal Palm School in Lantana serves students ages 3 to 22 who have the most severe disabilities and medical needs. The vision of the school is understanding differences and building independence. A caring, highly qualified, and dedicated staff works to provide a personalized curriculum for each student. In this class, the teacher uses technology to help students learn classroom rules.
That's like almost 3
Working
minutes
one-on-one, the goal is for each child to maximize their potential. The Royal Palm School is the only school with an indoor swimming pool.
Good. There's a pool inside the building?
Yes.
Awesome. That's so cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And the old school had one on the inside too.
I've never been to a pool.
Huh?
I've never been to a pool.
Really?
Nope.
You never been to a pool?
What?
Huh?
Only been to the beach once, and that was completely.
Wow.
That was 2017.
That's the thing we take for granted, huh?
Yeah.
So that means you don't know how to swim either.
No, that's not good. When I was in high school, when I was in Michigan, they forced everybody, they have to learn how to swim. There's a pool in the school. So everyone had to learn how to swim. It was part of PE.
Oh, I learned how to swim as a kid.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood pool?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, we have Miss Pinckney's mom. What's her name? Jones? Joanne?
Green.
Miss Green. Yes, Miss Green. She talked extensively about B-Town. Were you ever heard of Boynton Beach called that?
That's what they call it now. That's what the kids call it.
Oh, the kids call it this. That's not an old school name.
No.
That's all okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah, but she talked about how she talks about how it was back then during
Miss
segregation days.
Clark. Well, her name was Clark. She was at Galaxy when I went to Galaxy, I think. She was young. She was a young teacher then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've known her all my life.
Wow.
She actually went to high school with my uncle.
Oh, for real? Awesome.
Miss Green. Not Miss Clark. You're thinking about Miss Clark Sorrento, the math teacher? No. Her name, Miss Green, 8th grade reading teacher. Her maiden name was Clark before she got married to Mr. Green. Okay.
All right.
The Royal Palm School in Lantana serves...
So we can go to the next slide, the last slide.
Lastly, can you share your experiences as a person who has made history contributions?
Say that again.
Historical.
Oh yeah, history. Lastly, can you share your experiences as a person who has made historical contributions?
So you've seen part of my history as a person of color in this community. I attended Santa Lucis High School. You guys have probably heard of Santa Lucis. When I was attending Santa Lucis, I was the first African American student council president at the school. So it was the first time student council is a big thing in high schools. Student councils put on a lot of the activities for students, like homecoming dances and proms and things like that. So those kinds of things.
Lastly, can you share your experiences as a person who has made historical contributions?
As a member of, I guess I would say, like my Lee family, you can see based on my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, we are people that it's our passion. That's just what we do. I grew up in a household and in an environment where, we did things for other people. That was just, if someone was in need, if someone needs some help, we did that. And I think that's kind of what education is. It's not a career where you make a whole lot of money, but you do make a whole lot of impact. And in choosing what I was going to do with my life, I decided to be a teacher, to help kids, to help people. I enjoy it. I've always, in my past, been a person to not do what everybody else does, and being as sometimes you call it, I guess the word for it sometimes is trailblazer. So, reflecting on that, and when you say historical, at Santa Lucis High School, where I went to high school, I was the first black student council president that they had. So that was something historical because that school had never had one. And just throughout my life, doing things that people hadn't done before, and the color of my skin really didn't matter. It was something that, as a person, that's what I wanted to do. So I set my sights on doing that. And, that's kind of how we live our life. I know we're celebrating Black History this month, and we talk about the accomplishments of people of color, and especially women, me being a woman of color. I take that very seriously because when I was growing up, there were people who did things that I admired, and I wanted to emulate their lives because I know how much they impacted me. So that's kind of what I do as an educator and as a person here at Congress. I try to, impart knowledge, be nice, be kind, but be fair, be consistent, so that kids learn that, you do what you're supposed to do. And the reward is not so much what you get from other people, it's how you feel when you do those things for other people. So I think that's the biggest thing is as we move forward, we teach each other to be kind, but don't be kind because you're expecting something from it. You're kind because that's what you're supposed to do, and that's how you're supposed to be. So I thank you for the opportunity to share about my life, my family, and hope that everyone has learned something, and they gain some experience and some knowledge insight that they haven't had before. But also remember the words of be kind and, pay it forward. Because we all have to grow old someday, and we want to live in a world that as older people, we have young people that have been taught to be kind to others.